guys, welcome back to another video on this channel. So we'll dive straight into the idea of overcoming our activation energy, and the basis of this idea is based on asking difficult questions and having difficult conversations. The results of such actions can be uneasy and uncomfortable, but the outcome of going through such a process can help alleviate the following: clear up any vagueness, responses or confusion and get to the root of the solution. And second, build within ourselves the courage to overcome the activation barrier. The breakdown of this video will contain three aspects: A, asking difficult question; B, factors in asking difficult question; and C, power of asking difficult question and how we should approach it. Asking difficult questions. So I initially came across this during a live stream where Noah Kagan was being hosted by Ali Abdul in a deep conversation. I'll have the link available in the show notes below so you guys can check it out. So Noah stated a question. He suggested that in order to test your comfort level, do this thing: walk into a coffee shop and order your coffee, and go to the barista and ask for a 10% discount on your coffee. Look straight up into the person, just ask for a 10% discount, and see, having that unusual conversation, having that awkward conversation where you're okay to pay for the full price, but having that courage to ask for a 10% discount was a means of asking a difficult question that was difficult to you if you weren't used to it. That was the initial moment where I started to sort of realize why it was important to start asking difficult questions. I think the idea of having to ask that difficult question of asking a 10% discount, it makes us want to question our beliefs and our action, and I think that's something that we have not sort of practiced, and we've sort of not given enough attention to. And I think that's something we need to start working and sort of start building within ourselves. The possibility of asking a difficult question, we need to engender a thought process that can allow us to question our beliefs and our action in order to get the responses we want. The point of this was to test how comfortable we would feel in asking a difficult question that felt completely unnatural to most of us, and I can assure you that when I initially tried this, I was uncomfortable, clammy, and my hands were sweating. And the barista, when she looked at me, she looked so bizarre, and the ultimate response she provided was just a blunt and an awkward laugh. Factors in asking difficult questions. So the factors I'll be discussing are based on just my own experience, my own personal bias, but I would love to get your input. So do write down in the comments below or anywhere if you're watching this. I would love to know your thought process. What factors affect when you're asking difficult questions? So the first one I came across is courage. Do I have the courage to ask a difficult question or have a difficult conversation? I think in the moment of having a conversation where you're asking a difficult question or a tougher question, you do get a sense of realization whether the person you're having a conversation, whether their values or thought process are aligned with what they actually want to say. Because most often they don't have an answer to it, and they sort of stutter, sort of take a conversation into a tangent and sort of provide vagueness in their responses. So that's one factor that I feel should be considered when asking type of question. Second reason, do I feel comfortable enough to make believe? Not to say it can't be done, but when you're used to being around people and validation of all the time, you suddenly isolate yourself. If you're around people that help you make the jump, even though the jump has to come entirely 100% before it makes it easier. Allowing yourself to become comfortable in asking a difficult question is most important. Moving on, the power of asking difficult questions. Right, the 5 areas that I'd like you to consider when approaching asking difficult questions. You overcome the activation energy of uncertainty. It allows you to get over the humps of doubt and fears. In doing so, you adopt a progressive mindset, and this can sometimes expose you to rejection, which is a good thing, because being accustomed to rejection allows you to sort of build in that practice and doesn't make you want to hesitate in being rejected. The first instant would be direct, and don't be wishy-washy around the topic. Don't beat around the bush. Be concise, be direct in your approach and what you want to talk about. Focus on what you want to relay and what response you wish to receive as part of being direct. Okay, the second point, in preparation, you should aim to remove any divergence in the conversation, things that could lead to tangible outcomes that can divert away the conversation into other areas. It becomes overwhelming when you're having a difficult conversation or asking tough questions, and so it's important to build a case where you have backups that can allow you to build up your case in the moment of having a conversation. The third point is being honest. If a difficult conversation is to be taken place, the element of truth has to be the utmost priority. Having a tough conversation or asking difficult questions, one needs to realize that such conversations are taking place not to get someone, but to understand the scope of the problem and to understand why it's important to have such conversations. So don't shout or move nervously when having such conversations. Sit back and focus on what's being said. Show a level of calmness in your posture. The reason because to a certain extent, such conversations or tougher questions being stated, the user can often result to shouting or show defensive mannerism. So sit back, show a level of calmness in your posture, in your tone, to avoid any shouting match. Finally, fifth point being patient. I can attest to this fact that when someone is speaking, making the point of view of interrupted them, I've broken the tension and sort of relayed my point of view without completely listening to what they had to say. And having made that realization, so allow the others to finish making their point, because it is important to understand where they are coming from and to create a good degree of tension from the perspective they are sort of stating, because based on that you can ask tougher questions, you can build a case of tougher questions, create a good type of tension where you're asking a question and the user feels that they have to dig down and sort of find a response, and often this creates a silence, an awkward silence that you notice, and that's a good thing, because your goal is not to save the conversation but to stimulate a conversation that provides results, that provides answers to the questions that you've been asking. Thank you again. That's all for this week. If you guys enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing, liking and sharing this video, and yeah, check out my other relevant videos that are sort of listed down. It's a collection of these videos. The motivation to do these videos is that it's my collection of thoughts and ideas and principles that I've been sort of accumulating from different literature, podcasts, articles. So it's exciting to sort of share these principles and what I've been learning with you guys, and hopefully that you find any sort of relevance and any sort of value in this. So have a good night and take care, and I'll see you next video. Bye.